All right, everyone, welcome back to the Help Me Rhonda Show. This week, I've got an incredible guest. I'm really excited to share with you, but I want you first to think about something. Imagine if you're a woman and maybe you're having a transition in life. I sometimes call them spiritual awakenings, where you want something more, or maybe you're at home going, gosh, I need a holiday. But I want a holiday that's enriching to my soul. I want something that's going to help me leave this holiday and feel fulfilled. Well, my guest this week is an extremely talented woman, not just because she's talented, but because she's taken not only her past, her desire and needs for enrichment and growth and empowering herself, and turned it into one of the #1 women retreats in the world. And it's called Escape Hhavenn. My guest today is Jannine Hall, the founder of Escape Hhavenn, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. Jannine.
What an intro. Thank you.
Well, you deserve it. I rolled the red carpet out for you. How are you, love?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you're here, because when I learned about what you did, I was like, oh my goodness. Nelika, who's our producer, I'm like, we have to have her on the show because a lot of my audience are women. And, we host events here as well in Bali for branding and helping them develop and share their voice. But you do something really different. So would you mind sharing what Escape Hhavenn is and really why and where it started? And then we're going to kind of take it from there, because I'm really excited to learn more.
Cool. Well, you're testing my memory now. 13 years ago. Oh, my goodness.
13 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Started in 2008. So that's when I first made the move. But Escape Hhavenn, in a nutshell, are luxury retreats for women. So women come to us. The whole concept behind Escape Hhavenn was for women that were in the place I was 13 years ago. I was burnt out. I was, I realized my ladder was leaning against the wrong wall.
Yeah.
I was climbing the corporate ladder to success and trading my happiness in the process. And I realized I just had enough. So I took a getaway to, back then, to Ubud in Bali. Obviously
Eat,
here,
pray,
the
love.
birthplace of the idea. Yeah, exactly. Eat, pray, love.
So who are the women that come now? Like, how did then you decided to create?
Yeah, so decided
Escape
to create it. Went back to Sydney. I was marketing manager at the time for David Jones, doing lots of fashion launches and stuff. And went back and I was like, that's it. I'm just going to go. I'm going to create a retreat. I want to create a space, but that's luxurious for women. Combine it with water sports, because I know the healing impacts of the ocean. Yeah. And then set up the space, but I'm going to do it in Brazil. Didn't even think about doing it in Bali. No idea why. I'm going to do it in Brazil. It just seemed a bit more exotic, and Bali was a bit too safe. I knew it. Yeah. I wanted to do something different. Yeah. Went to do that, then a job offer came knocking back in New Zealand. I was headhunted for a role at our large retailer there to head up their marketing department. Shelved the plan, went into that for 3 years, got burnout.
Yeah,
sold everything, all my clothes, laptop, cashed in my shares, my holiday, emptied my bank account, went to Brazil, had this huge party. Everyone knew I was going to Brazil, went to Brazil to set up women's wellbeing retreats. Everything I owned in my hand, lost almost all of it, and a real failed business over there, because there'd been a spate of crime against American tourists at the time in northeast Brazil where I was. So they stopped. The #1 thing I relied on was access for the American market.
Yeah, right.
Whereas the flights would then come all the way down to Rio and then be diverted to go back up, adding an extra 8 hours onto flight time.
Unreal.
So it just tanked.
Where was it at in Brazil?
In Cumbuco, which is north of Fortaleza.
Yeah,
so
right.
Really great, like water sport mecca. So I'm sitting there, head in hands. I've got a maracuja, Capri Oscar in one hand, my head in the other.
Yeah, right.
I'm just going, what the hell? What am I going to do? And then I'm thinking, well, does everyone know I'm in Brazil? And I'm like, yeah. After that farewell party I had, I told every man and his dog I was going to Brazil, because I was so excited about this idea. I was so certain it would work, because I believed in the why behind it.
Yeah.
I knew women needed transformation and to have some respite from, these crazy, busy, successful lives that we lead, to just get back to that essence of who they were when they were a child and life was just light and they were just so effervescent.
Oh, you kind of give me wow, right? I mean, that's an emotional moment.
Yeah.
Think about when women go back to when you were a child, when you were light.
Yeah.
That's a big...
We don't have a care in the world. Instead of all these things we try to balance, all of these worries we encumber ourselves with that just weigh on our shoulders. So I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I just kite surfed for 3 months.
Nice.
I thought I would figure it out after that, after many, Capri-Oscars, Maracuja Capri-Oscars.
Yeah, right.
Then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to Bali. So Bali was never plan B. I had 10 grand left. Went back to New Zealand. My father died, passed away. I got offered a really great comms director role. And so it was such a pivotal moment. And I always believe when life tests you, it will, when you're on that cusp of change, life will come in with something to go, well, how badly do you want that change? Because here's your old life, just in a different form. And so it took a lot to really reach down and go, no, I'm going to go to Bali. So I came to Bali, didn't know a soul, 13 years ago, on the back of, I think there was a global recession going on at the time. But I knew that this idea had legs. Back then, there were no retreats around. But I knew that there was so much value in this idea. And so I just started with one foot in front of the other, just figuring all of this out, how to do a business in a third world country with no entrepreneur experience. And that's the thing when I'm often asked, like, how did you start? It's just with one step. And then you take another, and then you take another, and you figure stuff out as you go along.
Wow. So were there any bumps along the way once you started, right? Because everyone thinks, oh, look at her now. She's got these amazing retreats and people fly from all over the world. But what were some of the blockers that you experienced?
My gosh.
And were you almost ready to quit several times again?
Yeah. I'm so stubborn that I don't think I ever would have quit because I'm just like, I've gone through so much to get here. And when plan B, when the other alternative is a life that you've rationally figured out never made you happy, you just divorce yourself, you set fire to that old identity and embrace the new one. And I think because I'd completely dissolved that, I'd done that identity shift, I could never go back to that. So there was no safety net. So I had to make it. And the way I made it, which is quite ironic, going from burnout, thinking, oh, well, running my own business, I won't go into burnout. I was working 20-hour days, doing everything because I, back then signed up to that adage that if you do the hard yards, you get the payoffs. And so along the way, gosh, there were so many things from, I remember one time there was... in Bali, really bad weather. I had a press visit, so I invited all of these journalists out to Bali, and it was the worst weather we'd ever had. And then someone had got really sick, a virus, and then had passed it on to another one of the journalists. And I was like, I can't believe this is happening here, this is crazy on a press visit. So that was unfortunate. So many things. You just learn the sort of the lay of the land as you go here. We've been through one time when I realised my notary had set up the business as a furniture import and export company. So this is probably the biggest, the biggest learning. And so this was a few years in. And so I went to restructure the company, had to start again getting all the licenses and putting them into a tourism holding. So 6 figures later to make sure my staff didn't get deported and to make sure that, closing down operations, refunding customers, having to start again after sort of a 3-month breather of making sure we had all of our paperwork in place because I didn't dare not have something that wasn't compliant after that. Baptism by fire, that was probably the biggest,
Well, and it's interesting, everyone looks and says, oh, you're so lucky, right? You live in Bali. There's a lot of challenges it takes to build businesses here, right? So we get this beautiful life, but there's a trade-off. So now you have been running these retreats for 13 years here in Bali. 13 years. Thousands of women have run through this transformation galore. I mean, this is pretty substantial. What now has happened since this whole coronavirus has hit? Have you had to make a certain pivot, and what did you do with your employees? I mean, these are big things. I think that are happening right now for so many in the world. And what was the shift that you made, and what are you doing now to maintain the energy?
So I guess since that thing that happened sort of 8 years ago, COVID has been the next sort of bring to knees moment. So we had to pivot. So this year, being a travel business in the third world, everything came
our borders are
down.
closed.
I know, our borders are closed,
right?
And we're all based on the international market. So we had 60 staff that we need to look after, and we were mid-buying a retreat, which is, no bank loans here in Bali. And if we didn't make the payment, we would have lost everything. that we'd put into this new retreat. So when your back's against the wall, you just get really creative. We thought back to what our mission was, and our mission was all about positively impacting women through, well-being experiences. So we decided to pivot online. New Zealand was going into lockdown. Within a day, we decided to pack up our house. We were back there for a few months, come back here just before Bali's silent day, got the last flight out of New Zealand. I landed back here in March, and within 3 days, we'd put on a virtual retreat called Mini Escape for over 3,000 women. So my team had managed to turn that around, which was incredible because a lot of staff, right? We've got a lot of staff at the moment, and we couldn't run physical retreats. We had a lot of time on our hands as well. So we took all of the elements of the retreats we did, opened up our retreat doors virtually to people, and it was just at the right timing when people were going into lockdown and they needed a life raft. They needed something that was going to give them a respite to all of this anxiety that we were feeling at a global level. So we didn't really have a clue what we were doing. And we just thought, let's give it a go and see how it goes. And so we've done about 4 of those now. We're about to do our 5th one. And then we created courses off the back of that. So we did nutrition courses, fitness courses. Then we went into yoga teacher training and offered meditation and breath coach training. So I love that because it just expands the impact. Our whole why behind what we do is positively impacting women. So once you get into that online course market and the yoga teacher training, you're impacting the coaches that then go and coach other people. So your span of influence, this butterfly effect just extrapolates hugely. So I've loved that about this year, even though it's been a learning curve and a baptism by fire, all the tech stuff and so many. I think Brené Brown calls it the suck of the new. I'm like, yes, you're speaking to me. I understand what this is this year. Because I've stayed in my comfort zone for so long building offline businesses. I'm really comfortable in that space, but in online, it's just a whole nother world.
Yeah, wow. This is so big because I think that type of pivot though, and getting yourself uncomfortable, it's like it reignites you as well. So like new energy comes from it. And now you're able to just translate that message and continue the trickle through. And I think that's what many, like we look around, especially the United States, of course, Australia, New Zealand, many people have said, I'm stuck. Like I can't do anything, my job's down. However, coming and bringing something online, taking your interest online, and you had an audience, so you were a bit fortunate that way, and however, there's so many, you're empowering others though to do the same thing. Right? Like if you're teaching yoga instructors, they're now learning how to teach it online. You just gave them an avenue to create. I think it's just really beautiful. And so what type of women come to the retreats? But now, obviously they're online, but you're going to start having retreats again, I'm sure.
Yes,
right?
I can't wait.
So what type of women come? Because I think right now, any audience that's watching this is going to go, when is the next one that I need to be at? Right? Because I get people every day, like, when do we come next to your events, Rhonda? When do we come next? Like, how do we pre-book to make sure when the borders open? So who is the type of women that do come? And what's going on? What's coming up next?
So hopefully we'll be opening again, as soon as the borders open. So fingers crossed for that announcement next month. The type of women that come are busy corporate women, or they're busy mums. Perhaps they've, no longer working on the rat race, but they're very similar in the fact that they just need time back for themselves. Somewhere along the way, they've lost that little piece of themselves that's their identity. And suddenly they've gradually, they've sort of assumed the identity of the role they play. So they've stopped being themselves and they've disconnected with who they really are. What lights you up? When was the last time you tried something for the first time? Those sorts of questions. I smiled before when you touched on that, because it's so true. You lose a piece of yourself when you stop doing things that just bring back that childlike sense of play. And so that's always the mission that we have as a team and what we talk about at retreats. We want to get women there. We want them to let go of the control, because that's how they've been successful, by controlling everything. So we say, look, we'll do everything for you. There's chefs here, there's chauffeurs here, there's butlers here to tend to everyone. There's spa therapists with unlimited spa, but it's all been designed to get them out of their head and into their body, where they can just float around kind of like a child. Remember, with parents, they're always like, okay, you need to do this next, you need to do that. There's just something really indulgent about that. I would love that right now.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny you say this. You made me think. I always tell my family, I always say, like when I travel for business, when I did, did. I would always book myself in a business class seat. I'm like, I'm going on a holiday for the next 12 or 24 hours on the way back to the US, because just having someone serve you and not having, no one can ask you a question, you're handled. I got my own space. I'm like, I'm going on holiday on a business class ticket, because that's it, right? We do deserve to have that space. And you're making me go, gosh, I can't wait for the next one too. Right? Because it's so important. And being able to fuel a woman's soul, like right now more than ever. I mean, here's this emergence of feminine energy, right? And we're all so born to not only lead, but to grow and we can multitask, we can do so many great things. However, if we're not fulfilled, we actually can't perform at the levels that we can and serve the world like we can, our families, our daughters, unless we're fulfilled ourselves. And I love that you're like really igniting that message for women and giving them the space to do it. Because if I were to go on a holiday by myself, we've done it, and I'm like, okay, we're going on holiday. And what happens? Boom, phone comes back. Oh yeah, family. Oh, we have to eat this. And I'm arranging dinners. We're doing this, right? I'm on my phone. I'm making sure I'm checking in. I'm like, I'm not on a holiday.
Totally.
But if I was on a holiday that I said, this is my escape, this is my time for me, and someone's going, don't worry, I've got this taken care of. What would you like to do next? How would you like to do that? And then what happens, like ideas start to kick in too.
Totally.
Right?
Absolutely. Ideas come from, and the creative space comes from a still mind. So the more yin and the more you drop into that, the less you're up here, the more ideas come. So you go back, like so often we'll have women that come and they've got a big pivotal decision to make. Do I leave the guy? Do I leave my husband? Do I get married?
Do I drop the job?
Do I change careers?
Yeah.
Do I have kids or don't I? Like these big decisions. And the one piece of advice we always offer is don't even think about that here. Take care of you, take care of this, and the rest will take care of itself. Because when you lead from here and once you fill up this space, then the head will have that, perspective and that time out. You take off the blinkers to actually just be and to come up with the answers. But when you force them and when you're like, okay, I've got to stay in my head, I can't drop into my body, I can't take time out, I'm too busy for a massage, I can't switch off on a massage or a yoga or a meditation session, which often is what's prevented our ladies from doing those things before they'll come to retreat. It's because they're too much in their head. So the whole purpose of retreats is to get you out of the head
and into your heart,
into your heart,
body.
Exactly, and into your body, so you get that infinite wisdom that lies within. And so many people are searching for that externally. It all lies within us, but it's just that we don't give ourselves permission to lean in and go there.
Yeah, I love that. I was sharing with you before. I'm like, I've been going really deep and just taking myself into spaces every weekend where it's just me and a fire and myself and my prayer, my thoughts, because it's so fulfilling, because I do have the answers. All of it just shows up for you and you're like, oh, I don't want that anymore. I want this. All of a sudden you're swimming in a sea of a blue sea and ideas and beautiful flow. And I keep calling it my vortex. I'm like, my vortex is so beautiful. But that's what you're creating. And I just think it's brilliant. So if someone here were to be listening, where can they not only find more about Escape Hhavenn, and what do they need to do to really dive into the online courses that you're offering right now? Yeah,
great. You would welcome women to join us. They can find it on our website, so Escape Hhavenn. Often people spell it heaven. It is heavenly as well, but H-A-V-E-N, so escapehhavenn.com. We've got all of our courses there. We've got information about our retreats there.
Wow, I love it. So right now, if I were to go there, what type of courses could I choose from? Busy mom, busy woman, busy businesswoman. What kind of courses would I see when I go?
Yeah, great question. We've got a whole variety of courses that we've done because we had so much time on our hands.
Yeah, right?
We've just been in full creation mode, which we've loved. We've walked over, I think over 5,000 women through different programs now, which has been wonderful.
Are they live or are they digital?
Some of them are live, but they have live components to them. So all of them have live components, but they're all digital on portals that we create.
Amazing.
Created. So they can do anything from like a 6-week virtual retreat. So covering all sorts of areas from Ayurveda through to yoga, through to nutrition, through to mindset work. So I lead a lot around mindset because that's my jam, that's my passion. Through to motivation, how to get the motivation to really reach your dreams and goals with ease.
Like right now, this is the kind of stuff, because we can do books and things on our own, but man, when you have got something live and there's someone there with you, or you show
up.
You keep That's it. You
You've got
meet
that
it halfway
accountability.
and you show up for yourself. I love that.
Totally.
Wow, I'm so excited for this. I mean, I'm really excited because I live in Bali and that you're here and that Escape Hhavenn is here. I literally don't have to go anywhere and I can come and join you and be part of
Absolutely.
it.
Come down anytime.
Oh, wow. Really, really fun. I see a book coming for you. I think you need to do a book. Really?
Well, I've got time.
You've got to, I mean, because gosh, just the story, just the mindset piece alone.
Yeah.
So many people can learn from that and understand how to take themselves to the next level. Thank you so much. I really
welcome.
appreciate it,
Thank
Janine,
you
for
for
being
having
here,
me.
for the work that you're doing for women, for opening up their hearts and really helping shift the consciousness and really get women back into their bodies and, you know, and out of their head. We do that so well. And I'm excited to really learn more. Well, everyone, can you imagine right now taking yourself into a space where you're completely escaping from all the things that are happening? Doesn't mean running away. I mean, being able to escape for yourself, whether it's online or coming and flying all the way here to Bali and being pampered, being taken care of as a woman, allowing that spirit to come out, leave the heady stuff aside, let the family stay at home and figure it out, but having someone else cater to you, to your soul, to allow the energy and the ideas and the creativity to flow. That's what Escape Hhavenn is, and that's what Jannine Hall is doing for her clients. And I'm so excited for you to not only come and join us, but to also be part of this beautiful community that they offer. Think about that one. So thanks for being here this week on the Help Me Rhonda Show. You know, we are all about creating or helping sexy brands expand what they do and how they do it. And a sexy brand is someone that just knows who they are. They know how to help others, but they truly take care of themselves. And Escape Hhavenn is absolutely a sexy brand. So if you want to help become a sexy brand and help us get you featured in PR and media like Forbes, Entrepreneur Inc. magazine, make sure that you reach out to us. Go to UBA Links right now and fill out that application because we want to help you expand your brand and to turn it sexy. All right, everyone, I'm going to see you next week, same time, same place. But before we go, I have to tell you this. If you're going to create a brand, create a sexy brand. And if you're going to be anything, be unstoppable. We'll see you next week.